Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing a no contact love reading. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Obsidian. Group 2 is the Amethyst. And group 3 is the Clear Quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. It shows the Obsidian. So let's start by taking a look at the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you are in a no contact situation with towards you and this situation. Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune, 6 of Wands, and the Queen of Wands. So this is the energy of somebody who is trying really hard to kind of focus on the future, focus on other things, distractions, work, even kind of excuses or fears as far as the idea of potentially reaching out for reconciliation. And yet, despite those efforts, they are magnetized back into you. You are some kind of guilty pleasure for this person, thinking about you, maybe spying on you from afar. As much as they try and fill their time or their attention with other things, everything keeps circling back around to you. It feels to be something that they are nearing a point within themselves of becoming very frustrated with the level of resistance they have been putting in up to this point in time to admit to their feelings, that they still have feelings, that they desire something more between the two of you, or that they don't want to just leave your story kind of where it has ended, that there's a desire to push forward in a better direction. They're nearing the point of just surrendering to that. It's almost like their willpower is being broken down little by little. The distractions are not satisfying them. The kind of like tasks that they're doing, or the busy work, or just even kind of focusing on abundance or success in other ways in their life, they may be inundated with signs and synchronicities at this time as well, that is really kind of the universe's way of sort of screaming at this person that there needs to be some sort of resolution, or there's more to be experienced in this situation, to where, again, it's kind of breaking down their resolve to just sort of put the situation behind them and never look back. So this is definitely somebody who might be in sort of a roundabout sort of way, kind of keeping tabs on you, or looking you up, or in some sort of way they're trying to direct their attention towards the future, and yet they keep being sort of drawn back around to you. It feels to also be that there's a lot of passion and kind of pent-up energy here that was never properly released or expressed the last time that you were dealing with one another. And so there's something that it also ties in with kind of a level of regret as far as that's concerned. There's a sense that there was some way in which they kind of failed you, or failed this potential, failed themselves even. They're unable to kind of let go of the way in which they handled the situation in the past, or words that they kept to themselves, feelings that they kept to themselves, feelings that they restrained in the past. There's a sense of them not being able to release that. It's not sitting well with them. There's an urge here to have another opportunity with you, a second chance to have a fresh start, and a sense of almost like if I had the opportunity for a do-over, if I could gain access to this person's life again, or kind of just stop fighting the urge to reach out and try and make reconciliation, try and make amends, I would give more to the situation that I had in the past. They may also be kind of picking apart conversations you've had previously or actions that they've taken previously, and they're very dissatisfied with the ways in which they held back, that they chose to sort of restrict themselves or restrain themselves, because there's a lot of it feels like untapped potential that they're sensing here. There's a feeling that even if they left in kind of an angry sort of energy, or you didn't part ways on the best of terms, they're seeing your inherent value or worth, or the inherent value and worth of this connection, or the idea of investing with you more thoroughly or in a different way than they did before. And it's the energy of, if I had another chance, I would have done things differently. And it feels that there would have been so much more to the situation than we were able to experience with one another. So a lot of frustration in that sense, that they almost walked away from a blessing or walked away from a wish fulfillment, which is kind of their higher self in the universe sort of tapping them on the shoulder, it feels like as well, to create some sort of resolution in this, to not continue to distract themselves or look everywhere other than kind of you, the reality of the connection, what's happened in the past, and to use some of that creative energy, that kind of life force energy, in order to manifest a new opportunity with you. So let's take a look at a block, obstacle, challenge, or fear that they are dealing with right now that is coming through as especially prominent for them at this time. Okay, we have Nefertum, completeness. Yeah, so there's a sense of frustration with how the situation was handled, a fear that it might almost be too little too late, or the spark that once existed between the two of you, that moment might have passed, and yet it feels to kind of be wrapped around this persistent curiosity. What if there is another chance to start over? What if it was like the right person, wrong time, but circumstances have changed, or they are being guided to change certain things within themselves to better align with, it feels like, the truth of who they are inside, which allows them to align more deeply with the potency and potential of what the two of you could become to one another in the future. So if there were angry words that were used, or even if this person just ghosted or blocked you, left you with a lot of unanswered questions, this is something which is almost haunting them. The way in which they handled the situation, words they can't take back, or almost an idea that they may have left you with of them, maybe, the truth of the matter, or even things that was just kind of reactive or fear-based. There's a sense of almost like, how do I create remedy for those wounds? What can I say or do that could bring us back to that place where there is openness, there is trust, there is forward momentum, as opposed to, there's almost a sense of fear that if you let them back in, that there'd always be a skeptical or guarded kind of energy, that you wouldn't welcome them or receive them with the same sort of trust or innocence you did at one point in time. And so it feels like something that they are, if they blamed you in the past for that, if they'd maybe sort of projected a lot of energy onto you, they are taking personal responsibility for their role in the situation. But it feels like something that they're having a hard time kind of giving themselves grace or forgiving themselves for that. And so that might be a lot of frustration as well, that's leading them to kind of distract themselves with other things. Not being able to kind of let bygones be bygones within themselves, which would then open up the opportunity for them to come back towards you with sort of a meaningful peace offering or an apology, or just opening those lines of communication. It's almost like they are blocking themselves from that, not necessarily feeling worthy or capable of kind of experiencing full forgiveness. There's a fear that almost if they came back around, you would simply receive what they have to offer, what they have to say, and then you'd close the door on them. So that's something that it almost feels like keeps them dancing around the idea of, do I really want to know kind of how the situation could work out in the long term? Am I just going to make matters worse for myself by speaking my truth, and then I'm left hanging? So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. Okay, so we have the Queen, woman, fertility, feminine power, sexuality, and friendships. And the King, man, authority, male sexual energy, things pertaining to the law and justice. So this definitely speaks of mustering up the courage to have that heart-to-heart conversation, working through kind of that fear-based energy within themselves. It's the sense of I'll never know if I don't try, kind of an essence here. So this person may be gearing up to not just offer you an apology, but kind of a deeper peek inside themselves to a nature of feelings that they've harbored for you that they held back in the past, or feelings that have only intensified in the time that you've been apart from one another. This can be somebody that is starting to come to terms with the fact that you are their soulmate, you are their twin flame, you are their counterpart, you are their person, you are the individual that of all the people maybe that they've burned bridges with, you are the one person that they want to try and reestablish something with. It feels to be something that they are trying to sort of mitigate the urge to just turn away and continue to fill their life with distractions. Again, it's the idea of their willpower being broken down very gradually into a place where they're having no choice but to receive that kind of guidance from their heart and from their higher self, that to continue to sort of move forth in time with this situation being things left as they were, basically something that even if they close the door firmly on you, it feels very unresolved to them. There's a sense that in order to kind of move forth in their life in general, or to align with kind of a bigger purpose in the situation between the two of you, or untapped potential that may still exist, that it's in their best interest to speak that truth. It's in your best interest for them to speak that truth, to make some kind of solid offer where in the past they may have been kind of in and out, or maybe had made promises and then sort of backed out of those promises and kind of left you with a lot of unanswered questions or hurt or heartbreak. So it feels like somebody that is starting to come up with like a solution within themselves. Even if it might even come in the form of somebody who just pours forth and is very open and honest with you in a way that is uncharacteristic for this person. It may be kind of overwhelming for you as well when they come forth, because it almost speaks to be something that's very different from their character. It's very different from your experiences with them in the past. If this was someone that was kind of reserved about their feelings, they're getting ready to almost info dump on you all of the things that they've been thinking about or that they've learned in your time apart, in the sense of leaving no stone unturned and kind of just laying it all out on the table, hoping that that is sufficient enough for you to know that they are genuinely apologetic. They're genuinely interested in kind of turning the page in this situation in a positive direction. They are genuinely interested in kind of balancing out the energies or the iniquity between the two of you, because there's something that keeps drawing them back in your direction, something that they were very triggered about, the intensity and nature of their feelings. It is something that they can't escape that. They don't choose to escape it. They are trying their hardest, or they have tried their hardest to escape it, but they keep being drawn back around to that reality. So for a lot of you, it feels like some sort of communication may be on the horizon, or even kind of a gesture or an action that goes above and beyond what this person was giving you on their best day when you were last dealing with them. Something that really demonstrates change within themselves, or an effort to change, kind of like, will you meet me in the middle? I'll meet you more than halfway as far as my efforts towards you, but can we try and work on this together, working in tandem, as opposed to maybe this was like a lopsided connection. One person was giving an inordinate amount of patience or effort or action into the connection, and the other person was receiving that, reciprocating for a period of time, and then kind of releasing or running in the opposite direction. It feels like this is someone who's gearing up to provide you with more consistency, even if it's little steps in a better direction, keeping that sort of energetic flow between the two of you open or healthy, in order to kind of reestablish something, make up for lost time, and to almost give more to the situation than they were willing or able to do in the past. So let's take a look at some guidance for you about this situation. Okay, we have the Turtle and Coriander, satisfaction. So this is definitely a slow and steady wins the race kind of energy. This encourages you to continue to do whatever you have found is necessary in order to come to a place of acceptance or peace or process your emotions about the situation, keep moving forward in the direction that you've been headed since you and this person went your separate ways, because this is now the time for them to catch up with you. This is not the situation where you're meant to double back around and kind of wait for them, wait for that communication, or give them signs and indicators that you are ready to speak. This is almost like the ownership is on them to kind of go above and beyond what they were able to provide in the past in order to sort of ignite a new chapter, re-spark that flame between the two of you. And it feels like something that, continuing to remain very kind of grounded and present within the reality of the situation. But if you feel inclined to keep an ember of hope alive about the situation, it is not something that would be to your disservice. It'll depend on when this person comes back around. For a lot of you, they will reach out and make communication. You may find that you have both evolved in different directions and it provides you with some kind of closure, or you may find that it was right person, wrong time in the past, but the time apart has actually served an opportunity for both of you to grow or to mature, to heal in certain ways. It may have required distance in order for this person to understand that this connection is worth fighting for. It takes effort, something precious that slipped through their fingers that now they will have to really kind of increase what they were putting in before in order to secure a position in your life. And so this is something to where it's like all hope is not lost in this situation, but it may be a slow process of kind of rebuilding trust, this person stepping outside of their comfort zone, really giving it their all. It feels like whatever's held them back up to this point, it's the same tangent of fear that kind of drove them off in another direction. This person could be the master of self-sabotage, or the intensity and nature of the connection was too much. They caught feelings too quickly. They were wounded in love in the past and scared to open up again. Just whatever kind of their reasoning or combination of reasons were. But it feels like this is an opportunity for them to both heal wounds within themselves and to also provide you some sort of healing through their effort to kind of step beyond their comfort zone. They feel to be kind of backed into a corner within their own energy and within their own life. They're running out of excuses. They're running out of kind of the stamina to sort of outrun these feelings. And so they need to do something. They feel compelled, almost like they are having no choice but to surrender to the reality that they don't want to leave things in a no contact situation. They want to try and create forward momentum. They need to know one way or another, is it possible for us to begin again? So allowing them that opportunity to do that, it feels like will yield sort of the best results for both of you in terms of that growth potential. And if you're interested in taking this person back to really lay a foundation where they are not just giving you empty words of apology, but they're proving their willingness or their desire to fight for this connection or fight for a place in your life through the actions that they are and consistency that they are willing and able to kind of put forth for you. So let's get some message cards and see what they would tell you from their higher self if they could. And they say, I'm feeling emotionally void without you. Yeah, so they're kind of running out of steam here as far as trying to avoid these feelings, trying to deny these feelings, trying to come up with reasons why you're better off separated, or almost like it was better that you went into separation because it wouldn't have worked out anyway. And they may have had a whole list of reasons, worst case scenarios that they were kind of feeding a lot of energy into in terms of inevitable reality, that as time is going on, or the nature of the feelings or the draw or the chemistry, or even kind of just if they're watching you, spying on you from afar, and this magnetic pull they have back in your direction, those excuses don't hold weight anymore. Those excuses are not as compelling as they once were. They are nearing the place of almost having no choice but to admit that you filled a very crucial role within their life, and they have a deep desire to rekindle that energy with you. And We also have allow me to work on me so I can work on us. Yeah, so that's that energy that they know they need to bring something more to the table than they were able to do in the past. There's an energy here of them vanquishing their own fears, or almost kind of a sense that they might not be lovable, or that the connection, or all connections, may have kind of a pessimistic view on love, but all connections are sort of doomed to failure. That could have been a major obstacle between the two of you in the past, and they're not satisfied with that. They almost lump this in maybe with other connections that had fizzled out in their life before, and there's a sense as they're drawn back into your energy that it was unfair to sort of judge you based on that criteria, or this was something that all of the indicators, all of the experiences between the two of you spoke to the exact opposite. Things were moving in a good direction, and it was them who kind of ran off in the other direction, rather than the connection maybe giving overt signs of dissolving or being very unstable, that they were judging this based on kind of fears of those worst case scenarios. So there's an awareness within them that this pattern or this tendency in love or with you as this connection is concerned, it doesn't serve them, it doesn't serve the connection going forward. So it's almost like they're having to just sort of wear themselves down to the point of surrendering and just allowing themselves to be pulled back in your direction. We also have each day I think about how it would be like if we were together. One day I'll be ready to surrender. Yeah, so that's that energy that they are nearing that place of they can no longer fight these feelings. They can no longer fight the urge to reach out to you. They can no longer ignore the signs and synchronicities that point them back in your direction, that there's more to be experienced here, that this is unfinished business, that they are not happy with the way things have ended. They have not found the peace and resolution they thought they would find at a distance from you. And so this is somebody who it feels like is getting ready to almost exhaust themselves running in the opposite direction, again, in order to be just kind of organically magnetized back into you, brainstorming ways in which they can, kind of compel you to listen to them, to hear them out, to confess deep truths that they held back from you in the past, or that they've come to understand more clearly in your time apart. And we also have, you just would not understand what I'm going through. Most days, I don't even understand. So this is that energy of torn in two directions, kind of still running that list of excuses, but the list is running thin. They're running out of kind of reasons why it's best to stay away. Everything within them, it feels like, is screaming at them to take a different turn in this situation, to course correct, to move back into your direction while there's still a window of opportunity, while there's still kind of time to make amends in this situation. It feels like every day that goes by that they don't kind of follow their heart, it gets heavier and heavier within themselves. The reality that they've chosen a path of fear, and it's bringing them into a direction not where they're able to forget you, but where the reality of sort of what they've run from, the nature of these feelings, the emotions for you, that in many ways kind of would have served their highest good, or for some people they're seeing that you're like the best thing that ever happened to them, and yet they've tossed this aside, and that's really not sitting well with them, to where there's a desire to have a do-over, or to create some sort of new future between the two of you, but it feels like they're still sort of stuck wrestling that part of themselves into submission, that it encouraged them to run in the past, or sabotage the connection in the past, so that they can finally let their heart get in the driver's seat and kind of direct them back towards you. So I'm going to get some initials, and these can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got G, G, B, H, M, L, M, T, O, S, F, W, I, A, N, K, J, L, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the amethyst. So let's start by taking a look at the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you are in a no contact situation with in regards to you and this situation. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles, and the World. So this feels to be somebody that is stuck in some kind of loop. They are replaying the last encounter with you, maybe even sitting in an energy of nostalgia, seeing kind of the deeper value or implications of the connection that had been kind of lost to them before. It feels that they have been kind of unable to escape your energy, things that may have kind of reminded them of you recently that is softening something within the heart space. There's an energy of starting to see things from your perspective, having more compassion for you, or a deeper kind of appreciation for the connection or for your experiences with one another. Words that you may have said to them before that kind of fell on deaf ears, maybe even an ultimatum that you'd given them, and rather than sort of adjusting themselves or rising to the occasion, they may have just kind of turned and walked away from the situation, or it might have been you that cut off contact due to some kind of repetitive cycles or just sort of a back and forth kind of energy. You may have been the one to sort of not take them back the last time around, and it feels that that has caused them to become kind of caught in this loop. Where did I go wrong? What did I not see in this situation before? This can be somebody that's going through some sort of an awakening, or has had some sort of wake-up call in their life in another capacity, and it's brought their attention back around to the experiences with you. Suddenly things with you make sense, or things that you said make sense. Their feelings, or maybe even what they put you through, that's starting to make sense to them in a way that is kind of bringing about, it feels like, some guilt and shame over what has happened, or ways in which they couldn't value or appreciate you properly before. This might have been somebody who was operating with kind of a closed heart chakra, and they've gone through some sort of softening as far as like a heart chakra awakening, some kind of humbling that may have happened to them. Almost the sense of someone who didn't know they'd miss you as much as they miss you now, since kind of time apart has softened something within, a resistance that they might have had towards the love you were trying to offer them, things about the connection or about you that might have been very different from the type of people they were used to having feelings for, or the pace or nature that the connection might have taken. This might have brought up some unworthiness wounds within this person previously, and rather than kind of dealing with that or addressing that, you might have really hit a wall with them, as far as they let you in only so far, but there was kind of a guardedness as far as not looking for anything deep, maybe only sort of seeking something casual, and then they caught feelings for you, and that might have caused them to recoil or to push you away, to go very cold very suddenly, kind of an in and out energy. And again, if you were the one that sort of cut them off, or, you've set your sights on something else, even if they were the one that kind of walked away, but you've readjusted your focus, you're pouring into yourself, maybe you're opening your heart up to the possibility of love with another person, that has kind of reverberated over to this individual, and it's created some sort of impact. You didn't react to the situation or to them in the way that they thought you would, or you broke out of some pattern for how you were reacting to them previously, and it's left them stunned almost. It's given them something to think about. Food for thought is coming through, and it feels like that is something which is really, at this point in time, they're kind of deep in this contemplation energy, recognizing your value, recognizing your worth, or something that they just kind of missed about the situation before, that it feels like has them kind of stuck in a different sort of pattern in terms of overthinking or sort of analyzing the situation from many different angles. And with each analysis, it feels like it's softening something within that heart space, where they are more yielding to the idea of you, or to what you had to offer in the past, where it could have been very triggering for them previously, or they just couldn't see and appreciate your worth, or the nature of what you were offering in terms of love and affection. So let's take a look at a prominent block, obstacle, fear, or challenge that they are dealing with at this point in time. Okay, we have Osiris, death and rebirth. So again, this can be like somebody who's had some kind of heart chakra opening, going through a dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, an ascension process, or something to where things have shifted within their life to allow them to kind of appreciate what you had to offer. They have not been able to replace you, or if they haven't dated anyone since the two of you went into a no contact situation, it almost feels to be something where in this time and space, within this contemplation, they're looking back on sort of the experiences with you, even a level of patience that you had for them, ways in which you tried to, maybe adjust your love language in order to kind of accommodate their blocks and wounds that could be something that was very different from other people that they've dealt with, romantically speaking. It feels like they've done some sort of comparison between the best relationships and the worst relationships that they've had, and you in this situation, no matter how things have played out, you are factoring more strongly within the redeemable relationships, or relationships that they wish they had valued more, or something that they is of high quality. You're a higher quality individual than other people that they've had feelings for, that they've expressed and sort of shared themselves with. And so it feels that it's bringing forth a lot of kind of embarrassment for the way that they treated you, the way that they undervalued you, or just even sort of dismissed you in this connection, lumped you in with all the rest of maybe surface level or fleeting sort of energies, because now they're able to see you had something more than meets the eye. There was something more that you had to offer that they could have really experienced, fulfillment with, or something by way of even kind of the love or the affection or the energy you had to offer, experiences of just spending time in your presence. There was a healing element with that. It feels like they couldn't even really appreciate in the past how much you uplifted them, until there's been this kind of void or vacancy created by them, or maybe even created by you, to where this is almost like Five of Pentacles energy. They're out in the cold, and it's not feeling very good to them. There's a loneliness associated with this energy, and kind of a desire to move back towards you, but also a sense of kind of descending or spiraling even deeper into this energy of like dark night of the soul, or a contemplation, like someone who is almost feeling, how could I not have seen this person's value and worth? What type of people was I placing value and worth on, and not kind of appreciating this individual? And what they're seeing is kind of their priorities were skewed. They were prioritizing things maybe that were more sort of surface level, but things of substance, things that kind of nourish them deep at a core level. They didn't know how to receive that. They didn't know how to appreciate that. They didn't understand that level of interaction because they may not have experienced it in such a genuine way as they had with you. And so it feels like this is something that is really humbling them. They're feeling bad for how they treated you, or that it's kind of come to this in your situation where you've needed to, perhaps for your own sort of emotional well-being, set up some firm boundaries with them. Or if they're the one that pushed you away, it's almost the sense of feeling very guilty about how could I have treated someone with such a pure heart or such pure intentions in such a callous way, or such an unkind or unfeeling sort of way. So there's a struggle to kind of forgive themselves and move beyond that, which would open the door. It's a key to opening the door to a potential reconciliation between the two of you, that it would require them sort of accepting the way that they've handled the situation and coming up with some creative strategy to kind of get their foot back in the door with you, which it feels like the idea of that at this point, it's like a far-flung hope, or it's something to where after everything you've been through together, how would you possibly take this person back? So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. Okay, we have truth and restriction. So this definitely aligns with the other energies that were coming through in terms of somebody that may be going through a dark night of the soul, or needing to go through some kind of character development within themselves, or to work through some sort of woundedness within themselves, to where it's almost they're deliberately holding back a desire to speak to you, a desire to tell you the truth, or sort of shower you with praise and appreciation, because there's a feeling that almost at this point those words would be empty, because there's something within themselves that they need to go through. They need to understand more thoroughly. They can't almost get their mind off of this situation. So while words in a verbal sense or in a written sense may not be coming in, you may be experiencing a lot of telepathy with this person, feeling their energy, kind of like a fly on the wall perspective almost of, what's going on in that internal landscape. You're the focus of a lot of kind of what they are starting to understand about who and what they were prioritizing and valuing in terms of emotional connections versus sort of what you had to offer. And that they were investing in the wrong thing, prioritizing in the wrong thing, valuing shallow connections over sort of deeper, more authentic experiences that you had with one another, or that you were offering to them. And so this is almost like energy flows where attention goes. You may be picking up on a lot of that kind of ambient psychic energy from them at this time or in the near future, but it feels like until they sort of solve this riddle within themselves, or kind of get themselves out of sort of this spiraling energy, sort of move through and transcend that dark night of the soul, which, can happen quickly or it could happen slowly, depending on the nature of sort of what they're confronted with within themselves, these kind of wounds or aspects of the shadow that they're needing to address. It feels like until that happens, until they sort of move to that place where they're able to cultivate forgiveness for themselves, acceptance for the situation, then it feels like they will intentionally sort of remain at a distance, remain quiet, possibly even sort of refraining from watching your social media or looking at you, because it feels like it inflicts a lot of pain within them. Just even sort of, they see you in a new light, and it's filling them with a lot of shame at this point in time. But just because their back is turned, there's a lot going on in that internal landscape. So that might be more informative for you, the nature of kind of what comes through, contact with them in the dream space, feeling that energy, that telepathy back and forth. All of that can be sort of your clue that there's a lot happening. The internal monologue centers around you. And on the other side of that, there is a potential of communication in the future, or it may be something where, if this person is struggling to kind of forgive themselves for how they handled the situation, that might take even longer, to kind of gather up the courage to make matters right between the two of you. So let's get some guidance about the situation. Okay, we have butterfly and snowdrop, hope. So this is definitely speaking to something where a turnaround in this situation may be more of like a long range potential. If this person is going through some sort of like death and rebirth process at this point, it is essential for them to come back around and to be able to offer you something that is higher vibrational than it feels like what they were capable of on their best day before. This is somebody that is needing to sort of shift their priorities in their life in general, maybe kind of experience a glow up in the totality of their life. So it feels to be something that if your instinct is telling you to not completely close the door to this person, even if you've sort of shut them out, if you're the one that gave the ultimatum and they sort of walked away, or you've had to set up those healthy boundaries, you're encouraged, to really kind of stand your ground, hold on to that, but if you are still sort of holding out hope that possibly in the future this situation can turn around, it feels like this person is definitely headed in the right direction of where transformation occurs. What happens on the other side of that, what version of them emerges from the chrysalis that it feels like they're building around themselves at this point, may or may not align with kind of where you are on your journey at that point. So it feels to be something that it's almost kind of in your best interest to just, if your instinct or intuition is telling you to set your sights elsewhere, to continue to sort of move forward, create healing for yourself, and just consider the matter closed, then that is something that kind of aligns you and continues to align you with that sort of higher frequency of love, because the task is sort of on this person's part to go through that rebirth process, and rise to the occasion to sort of make matters right between the two of you. It doesn't serve your highest interest to sort of stagnate and wait for that rebirth process to happen, because it can go quickly or it can go slowly, and it's very unpredictable sort of what emerges, how high up that from that sort of lower vibrational energy that they were operating in will they be able to climb? Will they be willing to climb? In what ways would you sort of putting your life on hold for the situation, or continuing to kind of dwell on the past even, or not process your emotions? What would that limit you from in terms of other opportunities and kind of life and love that the universe may have in store for you? So for some of you, it feels like this will be a confirmation that you did the right thing, closing the door on this situation, or your efforts to heal. You might be very much kind of split off from this person, off on another timeline. A new sort of chapter is opened for you in another direction, romantically speaking. So maybe this energy just sort of provides you with a confirmation that it's not out of sight, out of mind, but this person is now going through their own process of personal transformation. The connection, the experiences with you have affected them on a deep existential level. And so that might be kind of the conclusion of the situation between the two of you. You fulfilled a soul contract with this individual in some sort of way. And so perhaps, you can take that as kind of peace as you are moving forward on your journey. That if the situation ended in a way that you weren't satisfied with, at the very least, soul growth is happening for both individuals. So it's a win-win either way. So let's take a look at some messages from this person's higher self and see what they would tell you right now if they could. Okay, and they say, I am still healing. Yeah, so this is a confirmation of somebody who has opened up within their heart space. They've softened within their heart space. But they are also aware that the emotional damage that they kind of inflicted in this situation, it is due to some kind of element where their priorities were not in alignment with either their highest good or the betterment of people that they came into contact with. This may be somebody who has left a trail of heartbreak in their wake. That might be something which is also a very humbling experience for them. There may be a lot of amends that they need to make in their life, or just something that needs to be reflected on or continued to be reflected on at this point in time. Why they have a tendency to act the way that they act in terms of emotional connections, why they prioritize things that are more surface level, more casual, and sort of push away things that are deeper and more meaningful. And We also have allow me to work on me so I can work on us. So this is that confirmation that this person does not intend to move back towards you anytime soon, but you are definitely heavily on their mind. So they have not eliminated this, a reconnection between the two of you or change in the future as a possibility. But at this particular point in time, their focus is on themselves, as it should be, to kind of work through some of those blocks or challenges or fears within themselves, anything they're needing to confront within the shadow that has kind of limited the quality of love they could give to others in the past, and has also been sort of a restrictive force in terms of what they were capable of receiving. They need to transcend all of that before they're able to kind of enter into a reciprocal and higher vibrational connection with themselves, and also in terms of, you know, a reconnection with you or anybody else in the future. This is sort of the rite of passage that they're going through at this particular point in time, this kind of spiritual rebirth process. They also say it wasn't you, it was me. I am to be blamed. I accept fault for this. Yeah, so the tables have turned in the sense of if they pushed you away, maybe, you know, they told you were too clingy, you were asking for too much, it was too intense, they weren't looking for something serious. They are recognizing that they almost cast you aside unfairly or too quickly, or that it's what you had to offer is exactly the type of connection that they need or that they were looking for. What they were sort of filling their life with or gravitating toward, that was only feeding the ego. It was sort of reinforcing woundedness. Don't let anyone in too close and you won't get hurt is kind of the energy that's coming through here. But now they're sort of seeing the error of those ways, to where they're kind of moving into this place of admitting that they want deep intimacy and partnership. They want to connect with people almost at a soul level, but they've been incapable of doing so because they haven't allowed themselves to receive the full nature of what an intensity of a connection like that involves. So this can again be something that indicates you're heavily on this person's mind. You know, they may be kind of going round and round the idea of like, I'm sorry, I messed up, I should have treated you better, I took you for granted. All of that can be kind of sending almost the apologetic energy in your way, but it feels like in terms of concrete movement forward towards you with some sort of an apology or some sort of a confession, that might be something further down the road, or it's possible that they will just sort of continue to keep that in the internal landscape and will make the choice not to sort of make matters right in the material world. And they also say hurting you was not the plan. So again, there is a recognition on their part that they've created some sort of emotional damage within you, and that this is something that there's a lot of guilt and shame about, and it feels like it has mirrored to them aspects within themselves that need to be healed. This is almost the energy of hurt people very unintentionally. It's almost like you were giving them loving energy. It was feeling good. The connection was good, and they may have pushed you away, or they may have kind of brought in sort of elements of themselves that had routinely sort of self-sabotage. They had resisted kind of the invitation that the connection between the two of you provided to them, in terms of like transcending kind of the ways in which maybe they're used to volatile connections or surface level connections that were just sexually based. You offered something that to them that was more emotional. And while there was a craving for that deep within themselves, they magnetized in that opportunity with you for a reason. It feels that they almost chose that path of the comfort zone, those lower vibrational connections that had very little to offer beyond just sort of surface level or egoic level fulfillment. So there's a lot of regret as far as that's concerned, and definitely something that, you know, energetically speaking, this person may make amends. It may happen psychically, or it's possible for some people that on the other side of like their transcendent process, on the other side of their death rebirth, you know, ascension, spiritual awakening, dark night of the soul, it's possible that further down the line you may get an olive branch from this person, some kind of an apology, some sort of an explanation, something it feels like to offer closure, or even to try and open the door to rebuilding or repairing the situation between the two of you. So let's get some initials. Can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got D, V, W, J, Y, B, W, U, Y, N, F, V, T, C, and R. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the clear quartz. So let's start by taking a look at the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you're in a no contact situation with towards you and this situation. Okay, we have the Hermit, Four of Pentacles, and the Fool. So this feels to be somebody that is entertaining the idea of giving something more to you and this situation. A sense of them almost viewing your no contact situation as something very temporary. It's almost somebody that, and maybe they told you this literally, almost like, I'll be right back, and they've gone within themselves. Maybe they've been distanced from you a little longer than you have expected, but it feels like somebody who is kind of wanting to muster up the courage to present a different side of themselves than they had shown you before. So it's more than just kind of entertaining the idea of like a reconciliation. It's almost the sense of they may have been very guarded, or they tried to kind of test the connection out in the past, and there's now sort of a situation of they vetted you out sufficiently and they're wanting to move back in your direction with their guard down, or with more of a level of honesty. This may have been somebody that almost tried to deliberately show you sort of the most difficult parts of themselves, the most kind of egregious parts of themselves, or the parts that normally would have triggered or been deal breakers within other people. And this almost feels to be something that you saw through that to a state of woundedness, or you were willing to work through things, or even kind of set some firm boundaries with them, and kind of knew your worth, knew your value, and maybe you sort of pushed this person away, you shunned them, you initiated the no contact, or a sense of just getting kind of tired of a back and forth behavior, or like bad behavior on their part, to where it's almost a sense of wanting to come forth towards you and reveal a part of themselves that is more authentic to who they are, and also provide some sort of explanation as to their conduct in the past. This may have been somebody that wasn't necessarily looking for love when you came into one another's lives, or there could have been other extenuating circumstances in the situation that caused them to sort of put this connection or their feelings for you in the past in kind of a prohibited zone. Nothing can happen between the two of us, or somebody who might have wanted to kind of control the pace at which the situation evolved, and you could have been the one that said, you're not going along with that, or enough was enough. And it feels like something that has really, it's caused this person to sort of see you from a different angle. It's made them sort of look at you as somebody who, again, knows your worth and value. You're willing to kind of redirect your focus where there's reciprocity, rather than wasting time with people that are giving you the runaround, or are kind of disrupting your peace in some sort of way. They see you as somebody who really values your inner peace, or you have kind of a lot to offer, a lot to give in life in general, and also in terms of what you have had to contribute to them in the situation in the past, to where they're feeling that it was almost unfair to kind of test you or vet you out in the way that they did. And so it may be where they even could have had secrets that they'd kept from you previously about their motives or different sort of things going on in their life, maybe even stress and pressure unrelated to love that caused them to kind of keep you in this situation at arm's length. And it could be something where they're reaching a resolution in those other matters, or understanding that what you had to offer didn't necessarily compete with or wouldn't be sort of a detriment to other things that they have been trying to work through or to overcome or kind of accomplish in their life. And so this is somebody who's wanting to come towards you with a fresh energy, explanation, apology, to see if it's not too little too late. But it may be something that they're not really expecting that you would be very receptive to them, maybe based on how they acted, or ways in which they're kind of seeing you as somebody who, again, knows your value and worth, to where it's almost they feel that there's kind of one opportunity to try and turn the situation around, but they're not necessarily hopeful that there's much more progress that can happen, because you put your foot down with this situation, and this person, or like their tactics or their methods with you in the past didn't work. It didn't yield kind of the energy of maybe you becoming very submissive to them. It's almost like they tried to lead in this situation or take charge in this situation in kind of a brute force sort of energy, and it had the opposite effect. Rather than sort of making you view them as somebody very empowered or like an in charge kind of energy, it almost feels to be something that drove a wedge between the two of you. And so they're seeing that, they're feeling that they've handled the situation in a way that was an error, it was a mistake. And so it's almost, there's a level of curiosity. Can we start over? Can we begin again? Or have I missed my opportunity with this person? So let's take a look at one of the blocks, obstacles, challenges, or fears that this person is currently dealing with. And we have Nefty, meditation. So with this energy, I'm hearing, what must you think of me? So it feels like this person has kind of left a bad taste in your mouth, or made some kind of impression upon you in terms of their intentions, who they are as a person, how they operate within loving partnerships, or even just the nature of where their priorities are. If this person had been very secretive or had kind of kept you at arm's length, there's a sense that they understand now, or they're seeing in some sort of way that they were unnecessarily guarded with you. They vetted you out or tested this connection in a way that was very unfair to the situation. They maybe assumed things about your character or about your motives. Maybe this is somebody who's been kind of taken advantage of in the past. They could have a lot to lose, or it could even be somebody who has kind of a lot in their life in terms of the ability to open doors of opportunity for people, affluence, power, wealth, money, and so they may have kind of dealt with a lot of people that were just on the take, were gold diggers, were out to kind of take advantage, and just assumed you were kind of like everybody else. And so it feels that after having been maybe taken advantage of by other people, professionally, personally, platonically, romantically, it's almost like when you came into their life, they weren't just going to trust in their feelings. They weren't just going to trust in the intuition of like a spark, a chemistry, a connection, a potential between the two of you. It's almost that they took an approach of sort of like, what are you trying to get from me? Or what do you want out of me? And that was the way in which they led in the situation. Even if they were very nice and friendly, there's almost a sense of like a brute force energy, sort of like, you're not going to take from me. You're not going to get into my heart and sort of use me or take advantage of me. And that feels to be something that now, on kind of the other side of this no contact, maybe even that they've initiated as like a further test. How will you handle the situation? How will you handle me when I walk away? When I put up my guard? When I push you away? Are you going to allow me to come back? Is anything allowed? What are your boundaries? What are your limits? What will you tolerate? And it feels to be something that has been a plan or a strategy that almost didn't work out to their advantage. They've created some sort of heartbreak, or, you've kind of walked away from the situation. You've detached. Your response was to kind of direct your focus elsewhere. Maybe this is even something where you've blocked this person out. They treated you in a certain way or disrespected you in a certain way, and you've just walked away. And it feels to be something that there's a lot of regret as far as that's concerned. Uncertainty as far as how to sort of repair the situation, and a sense of they have like one chance to provide you with an explanation, and then it's almost a deal breaker between the two of you, which it feels like is bringing them almost a sense of feeling very kind of like their motives for however they've treated you in the past. It feels like there was a good reason for it. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been something that they've almost tried to cultivate in terms of a self-protective mechanism for themselves as a result of their experiences with other people, but they've essentially now pushed away sort of a good person. They've pushed away someone that could have offered them a relationship that was healthy, that was reciprocal, that was high vibration. You were seeing them as a person. You were drawn to them on an emotional or like a soul level, and they judged you as somebody that was just sort of out on the take, or wanted them for something materialistically. And so there's a sense of them almost being very upset with themselves that whatever has happened in their past that has caused them to sort of create an armament or like a fortress around their heart, that this has interfered with, created a wedge in, or even potentially sabotaged a connection with somebody that could have actually been good for them, could have actually shown them a different sort of experience in terms of love and partnership. And that sort of, it almost feels to be something where they're looking at this like, are you just a lesson? Were you an opportunity and I've kind of blown it? I've missed out on the blessing. I've pushed that away due to an unyielding sort of energy, or almost playing like mind games in the situation. So there's a sense of almost not really feeling that it might be possible, almost like it's a remote possibility that they would be able to in some way sort of reshape the view that you have of them now, that to convey their motives or their methods, it might even sort of make matters worse. So this feels like somebody that's struggling to kind of build up courage for the idea of trying to repair the situation. So let's take a look at their potential actions towards you. We have the High Priestess, discernment, presence, prophecy, and vision. And the Hawk, omens and messages. So this could be somebody that just sort of lurks in the shadows for the time being. They observe you. They may watch you from afar. They could even kind of have other people watch you, or potentially try and get other people to sort of test the waters in the situation. They may set up fake profiles and sort of try to gauge, where are you in terms of receptivity? Have your feelings been hurt so much that you're totally guarded and closed off to other people? Are you just sort of carrying on life as usual, business as usual, and truly being very unfazed by the experience with them? A sense of almost trying to sort of get information or get some sort of gauge in terms of what's possible in the situation. How have you kind of been reshaped or reformed by the encounter with them, if at all? For some of you, you're just sort of, you've discarded this situation now based on how they've behaved, and you're pressing forward. You know your value and worth, and you're kind of just carrying on. You're chalking this up to be a lesson, or preparing yourself to kind of move into that energy if they don't do something to course correct. So it feels like they can almost sort of sense a bothered energy from you, or something where you may be kind of exercising a bit of discernment, something where experiences in your past, it's evidence to this person that you've crystallized some sort of negative experiences with other people, maybe that wasted your time or tested out your loyalty, or the energies of a connection kind of played with an opportunity to have romance with you, and you were on the losing end of that gamble or that play, that you have in some way kind of forged yourself into a more enduring individual. They may have experienced a lot of softness and yielding energy, and it's almost like they're seeing your other face now, which has the ability to be very, very stoic, very, very cold when you need to be. And so there's something that's almost intimidating by this. They underestimated you, or they underestimated what they could get away with in this situation. And so it's almost somebody that's looking for an angle to kind of get back in. Is it too little too late in this situation? Would you even hear them out? If you've blocked them, then it may be something where they're needing to get kind of creative in terms of gathering information about you to see, even if they could just provide some sort of explanation or peace of mind to you, would that be worth their while, or is it something that you would just ignore that altogether? So this is somebody that at one point in time almost felt they had the upper hand in the situation, but they feel that you've almost gotten the better of them because you know your worth and value. You love yourself enough to not tolerate whatever it is that they were putting you through overtly, or even just something that your instinct or your intuition kind of clued you in on, in terms of a guardedness within this person, or just something where it was so much effort to kind of get them to open up that it was taking away from kind of your enjoyment or your motivation to sort of continue on with this individual. And so it's something that they're seeing you with a level of, again, like intimidation, but also respect at this particular point in time. Something where they're feeling that it was not to their advantage to sort of risk this connection between the two of you, not to their advantage to just assume you'd be like everybody else they've encountered, or many people that they encounter. But it's something where there's almost the sense of, because you've surprised them, or the way in which you've reacted was so unexpected or so atypical of other people that they've dealt with, they're fascinated with you. They're studying you. It's almost like they had you pegged for one type of person, and now you've shown them something else about you, about your character, that they hadn't seen before, they hadn't witnessed before. So there's a degree of almost like being very drawn to that, wishing that there was another opportunity, but then also sort of feeling that it's going to require something more intellectual, certainly more honest, to be able to kind of open those lines of communication between the two of you, if you'd be open to that with this person again. So a lot of sleuthing, a lot of kind of just watching from afar, maybe even energetically kind of testing your boundaries, sort of reaching out energetically speaking to see, is there any sort of reaction? Are you yielding? Are you going to acquiesce to that? Or is it something where, your defenses are now up? You're kind of pushing that energy away, which it feels like will determine if they actually sort of try to come in and make some sort of communication. If it is communication that they do bring forth in the material sense, it feels that it'll reveal a lot about this person and almost show you a different side of their character than you had seen before. So this may be a revelation as far as their motives, that they were hurt before, maybe even elements of sort of who they are that could have motivated the approach they took to you in this situation, any masks they were wearing, any sort of guardedness in the situation that, depending on the nature of what it is that they tell you, might open up the ability for you to sort of consider like a fresh start or turning the page in the situation, or it may even be something where it's just kind of too little too late. Whatever explanation they provide might not be sufficient for you to consider or to have a desire to sort of continue forth with this person. So let's get some guidance from Spirit for you. Okay, we have the Elk and Ash, Strength. So this is the energy of following your intuition, continuing to sort of set your sights on higher vibrational experiences. If this person, gave you the runaround or created a lot of sort of tension or static or chaos, had you in your head, had you sort of wondering what to expect or needing to sort of read between the lines, or that it was very unpredictable and might have caused you a lot of anxiety and just kind of got to the point where you're like, this isn't worth it anymore, and you sort of picked up and moved on in another direction due to a need to sort of preserve your peace or kind of rebuild that in some sort of way, you're encouraged to continue along that path, along that progress. If this person sort of has the opportunity to, or if they choose to sort of act upon that, almost that energy of they've got one opportunity to sort of make this right, to come clean, to confess certain things, or to sort of treat you in a different way, turn a completely different direction in terms of their approach to you. That's something that efforts on your part are not going to yield that appropriately. This is something where this person almost needs to come out of the shadows in a certain way. They need to be honest and forthright with you in order to be able to kind of provide full transparency, full disclosure of certain things, so that if a fresh start is possible, or if it's something you're interested in, it comes from this place of sort of like, you understand why they were acting the way that they were acting. This doesn't feel like somebody that has excuses. They may have almost very good reasons for why they've kind of done what they've done, but there's a need for them to confess all of that, and that is the only way to sort of guarantee any kind of future, it feels like, that would be productive, that would be rewarding between the two of you. If this person just comes back with like a vagueness or the same sort of almost trying to push their way into your energy or push their way into the situation, then it feels like something that you could almost just expect a repeat of what you've experienced with them up to this point. There's almost a softness that is required, a willingness to be vulnerable, trust within you that needs to be sort of given at this point in time through this energy of openness, and you're encouraged to sort of hold on to that as your bottom line, rather than sort of exerting themselves. There's an energy that this person needs to flow or yield into the situation. And if they present with that and kind of you're open to hearing them out, then it's possible that a fresh start can happen. But barring that, it almost feels to be something that this may be something that's kind of too little too late, sort of a lesson for this person to take it down a notch in terms of the ways in which they are almost sort of expecting the worst out of people. This may be something where you're just a lesson for this individual to go in and sort of heal, or again come up with other kind of barriers and discernment, less of a rigid stance or almost a forcefulness in terms of the duration of which a connection is tested, or the ways in which they are kind of, again, just sort of assuming the worst out of people. You may be somebody that was here, placed in their life to sort of educate them that while it's good to sort of take time to get to know people, creating those sort of fortresses or having that degree of armor up, it just sort of pushes away the opportunity of deep and meaningful connections. That might be something that, as your paths move in different directions, that can educate this person to sort of help them on their personal growth and kind of discovery journey moving forward. So let's get some messages from this person, from their higher self, and see what they would tell you right now if they could. Okay, and we have, I must admit that I am longing for your touch and warm embrace. So this person is not satisfied with the fact that the connection has gone cold or you've gone cold on them. you sort of know your value and worth, and you're redirecting that focus internally speaking, rather than chasing this individual. You're holding strong to sort of your positioning in this situation. They may have expected you to chase them. This could have been somebody that almost baited you and put you into that kind of energy of they're going to turn away or push you away, and you'll feed the ego by pursuing. And you've done the exact opposite, which it feels like has really sort of bamboozled this person. It has motivated them to kind of look at you in a different perspective, see that you are very different from what they assumed of you, or you're different than other people that they had dealt with before, or kind of what they were expecting at this time in their life in terms of love, or like their history of what they've magnetized in, or the types of people they've participated with. And so there's a sense of wanting to come in closer, wanting to come back into your world, into your reality, and create more of an understanding between the two of you than was the case in the past. And we also have, I kick myself for sabotaging this relationship. My life won't be the same. So they are fearing that you are just a lesson for them, that whatever's happened in this situation, or whatever's required of them to kind of take down their armor, let their guard down and open up and really invest trust in you in this situation, that feels to be something that is a huge challenge for this person. They may have deep-rooted trust issues, or again, like a lot to lose. There could be a very good reason why they've sort of handled this situation or tested this connection in the way that they did, but it's almost a sense that this method they've applied to other people, it has saved them from situations they would regret. But using this method with you, it has now put them in a place where they are understanding that they've lost someone of value and of worth. They pushed someone away that could have added to a measure of beautiful energy within their life or within themselves. And so it's something that if they don't work up that courage to communicate to you, or if they do and it's too little too late, this definitely feels to be an energy where you have made an impact on them for life. This may be something that helps to kind of change them for the better as they grow and evolve from this. Kind of who they choose to develop into may be very profoundly affected by this experience with you. And we also have, you are perfect in my eyes, don't ever change. So there is an element of them that, as much as they don't like the fact that you have sort of put your boundaries up to them, they are very drawn to this because they now sort of see you as a well-rounded individual. If you were very soft and yielding with this person, very understanding up to a point, and now you are kind of rigid and firm in your approach, they are understanding kind of elements about you that they had underestimated or they'd taken for granted. They're seeing you as a very strong and empowered individual, the type of individual anybody would be happy or lucky to have as a partner standing by their side. So there's a deep kind of desire and yearning. They can't let the situation go just yet. They're kind of looking for an in, looking for a way to sort of buy some time in the situation, or to try and see if it's possible for the two of you to kind of repair or rebuild in this circumstance. Because as much as they looked at you from just sort of one lens or one perspective, as they're seeing you now as like a whole individual, you fit very well within the idea and the reality of who a safe person would be for them, or somebody that they could see that they could actually kind of grow and develop and evolve with beyond experiences in life and in love that had caused them to be very jaded or very skeptical or very guarded. And we also have, I am scared you will not accept me now. Yeah, so that's that energy of somebody who really understands that they messed up in this situation. They handled this situation in the wrong way. They underestimated you. They unfairly tested you or judged you, or just assumed you were like everybody else they were dealing with, or the types of people that typically sort of will have anything to do with them, or that they, magnetize into their life in general. And so there's a sense of how to make up for this, how to explain what has happened. If they tell you the truth, will that only make matters worse? Or is it something where you'd hear them out from a place of compassion and sort of non-judgment? Is it possible to turn the page in the situation? They feel very uncertain in that capacity, but there's a sense of there's one opportunity to get this right. So this may be somebody who, again, is kind of checking things out, scoping things out, and kind of getting ready to sort of make that move, that one sort of act of reaching out to you to see, can we move forward from this, or is our story concluded with one another? So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got N, S, I, W, P, D, C, N, P, U, E, B, R, and O. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.